This is my first robotic mission. I've worked for over a decade on a space station as a flight controller, so I've worked the human spaceflight side of operations, never the robotics. So this was a first time for me to work in the robotic arena. I think I was a little concerned about the challenge of teams working together that hadn't met before. In human spaceflight, we train for months and years to execute missions, and here we had a week sort of to get together and try to execute these missions. And so I was surprised how quickly it came together. And I think that was because we had experienced robotics teams and human spaceflight teams that had worked in their respective areas, but came together quite well. So every day got better. I mean, like I said earlier, I was a little concerned coming here that we have three teams that have never met before, never trained together, and sort of had limited insight into how the other teams operate. But you know, within 4 hours of getting here, we already started to execute the first plan. Within a couple days, I think people felt really comfortable with one another in the process we had established. And now by the second week, you know, leaps and bounds ahead of where we started. So it's a good way to end, and it's a good momentum forward. And this collaborative type effort, can it be done ad hoc? And I think it can be. One of the things that the robotic team brought to the table was the way they display information. They still have the monitors full of telemetry that they have to look at and then report on what they're seeing and what's going on with the robot. But some of the Google Earth stuff we used is sort of a layered approach to ingesting information, if you will. There are you're able to drill down into the traverse that you're executing and gather a lot of data that normally traditionally we would go to different displays to go look at. So I really like the way they've put that together. I think it's a more intuitive way to look at data, and it's a lot, maybe more efficient way to look at data. So I think that's something we'll bring back and think about in the human spaceflight arena about when we go forward, what are different ways that we can start to look at data. You know, the hypothesis is to test will this data lend itself to more efficient EVAs for the humans? Will they be able to gather better science quicker, maybe a little more safely? They'll be able to traverse into areas that they won't have to guess about what the terrain looks like. So I'm anxious to see what the results of that are. I think it's going to be favorable. I think this data is going to help the astronauts out quite a bit. For the future, I'd like to see more of this collaborative type effort. I'd like to see people who have a heavy robotics expertise work with the human spaceflight arena and see where we go. Because I think it's going to help to build better rovers and to build better science instruments probably in the future as well. So.